Here are the Week 11 NFL picks, the final thoughts, one final update on this YouTube channel. We've done 3 live streams, one being 4 hours on the Week 11 picks. We did a short video as well. So this is the final update on this YouTube channel. So before we get into it, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. We have NFL picks against the spread, college football picks against the spread, went 4-1 this past week, 3-0 on Saturday. We have 2026 and 2027 NFL mock drafts, NFL power rankings, fantasy football rankings with grade every signing, with grade every trade. And it's all free at walterfootball.com. So check that out. All right, let's get to these games. Talk about any updates here. We have the Redskins and Dolphins in Spain. I don't care about this game at all. I have no opinion on it. I don't want anything to do with it. It's not a great betting spot anyway, because you have the Dolphins, who are the better matchup. But the best matchup in this game is Achane against the slow Washington linebackers. They're so slow. He should be able to get to the edge and just run for big gains. But Washington has the spot edge because Miami is a horrible team coming off a win. Washington just got blown out. So I think there's a chance that Washington plays for pride here and the Dolphins could be flat. So it's anyone's guess. I am not going to bet this game outside of any live bets, which I will post on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. My handle is at Walter Football. Just one word. So yeah, just check in for any live bets that we do. And I can't really post them live on the site because once I do, the lines become stale. So the only way to share them is just a quick post on X. All right, let's get to the real games. We have Packers at -7 at the Giants. I like the Packers a lot here. And I changed my stance on this during the week. I initially was going to bet against Russell Wilson when I thought he was going to start. Russell Wilson just being a miserable quarterback. But then it was announced that Jameis Winston would start, and I'm thinking, you know what? Jameis Winston is better than Russell Wilson. Maybe he can have a big game here and maybe get a backdoor cover. And then the more I thought about it, it just made way more sense to take the Packers, and not just take the Packers, but bet them for a big play. This reminds me of last week's matchup with Detroit at the Redskins. Now, we don't have a revenge spot or anything, but Green Bay has lost 2 in a row, and they really need to get going here. They can't afford to be flat, so I don't think this is going to be a down spot. So I expect them to be able to move the ball pretty well against this horrible Giants defense. The Giants are 31st against the run, and of course the Packers have Josh Jacobs, so that's a big edge. But then on the other side of the ball, you think about how the Giants are going to move the chains. I don't see it. The Packers are 10th in defense, and Jameson Winston has no one to throw to outside of Wan'Dale Robinson and Theo Johnson, who are just not that great. But think about like who they have downfield, because Jameis Winston loves to go take shots downfield. With Darius Slayton out and Malik Neighbors obviously out, Cam Scatterbo out as well. Not that he goes downfield, but still, you have the number one deep receiver being Jalen Hyatt, who can't catch anything. You have Isaiah Hodgins. Like, what do the Giants have here? I don't see how they score in this game. They might get a fluke touchdown or something, but this seems to be a very easy Packers win. So not only am I going to bet the Packers for a huge bet, I'm going to bet their alt line at -20.5. So, yeah, looking forward to this game. Hopefully it hits just like Detroit did last week for us. Tampa at Buffalo, there's sharp money on this, pushing this line up to 6 from 5.5. So, yeah, it looks like not surprised here. The Bills coming off an embarrassing loss to Miami. Generally, when you have an elite quarterback like Josh Allen coming off a loss, you usually want to bet him. He's 15-10 against the spread off a loss since his second season. I don't include his rookie year because he wasn't an elite quarterback back then, but in the second year, that's when he got going, and he's great off a loss. Tampa has some injuries, and really one guy who's injured but is going to play is Vita Vea. I don't think he's 100%. He keeps showing up on the injury report with a back issue, and Tampa, which is a team that's usually in the top 5 against the run, they're number 17. They've allowed some big gains. They started in the Seattle game with Kenneth Walker had rip off some long gains, and they've allowed significant runs every week. So I think James Cook could get going here, and the Bills are a lot healthier than they were last week. They were down 2 corners, they're down 2 defensive linemen, they were down a linebacker. Like half their starters were out on defense, so like no wonder they couldn't stop Miami. Most of those guys are back, so I think the Bills should be able to beat Tampa pretty easily here. So we get Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. I still love the Bengals. They just have a great matchup against Pittsburgh's secondary. Pittsburgh's secondary was down so many safeties. Jalen Ramsey had to move from corner to safety, and then they lost multiple corners in the Chargers game, and so it's just Ramsey in the secondary, and going against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That just seems like such a big issue for Pittsburgh here. Now, I know The Steelers will score on Cincinnati. Everyone scores in Cincinnati. Just an abysmal defense, especially without Trey Hendrickson. But just Aaron Rodgers is just not what he used to be. He's just dinks and dunks because he doesn't want to get hit. His line stinks. He's just a 41-year-old guy going through the motions at this point. So I think Cincinnati wins this game, or at the very least, they get a backdoor cover, which they'll be capable of doing with Chase and Higgins and Joe Flacco playing very well. Now we have Houston at Tennessee on our Friday live stream. Tom, who's been awesome at calling upsets, he predicted this one to be his upset of the week. So if you're still alive in Survivor and you're taking Houston, you might want to reconsider. Now I think Houston will cover. So I disagree with Tom, and it really just has to do with the opponent here. Tennessee is just beyond abysmal. If you look at like the other bottom feeders in the NFL, they at least do some stuff well. Like the Jets, they have a good edge rush. Breece Hall can catch them, pass out of backfield, and take them the distance. Garrett Wilson, when he's healthy, can make some big plays. You have the Saints, who have Kamara, same thing out of the backfield. You have Chris Olave, just a very talented receiver, and the run defense is not bad. But Tennessee does not do anything well. They don't even do anything on a mediocre level, except for, I guess, punt returns with Shamari DK. But outside of that, they don't do anything well at all. Like they can't throw, they can't run, they can't block, they can't get to the quarterback, they can't stop the run, they can't stop the pass. They have no head coach. They have no offensive line head coach. They're no offensive line coach. Their best defensive player, we think, is out, Jeffrey Simmons. Their best defensive back, Xavier Woods, is out. They traded one of the top corners. So what does this team have? They're 5-24 against the spread since week 1 of last year. 5-24 against the spread. If you're betting this team, good luck. I'm on Houston. Now we'll see if Simmons is going to play or not. That could decide my unit count here. It's not going to be a huge bet because I don't really want to lay 6 with Davis Mills on the road, but this is a spot where it could do well. So I still like Houston, but not for very much. Chicago, Minnesota. I like Minnesota here. I'm kind of confused about why this line is so low. Chicago's 6-3, but they're such a farce. They should have lost to Washington. If the Redskins don't botch the handoff, they lose that. If Jackson Dart doesn't get hurt last week, they lose that game. So that's automatically really should be 4-5. And then you look at the Raiders game in week 4, where the Raiders missed a field goal to win. And, obviously there can always be missed kicks, but really Chicago could be 3-6 right now. So I don't really trust them here. And I like the matchup edge for Minnesota. Chicago has a lot of injuries in the secondary. They're going to be down their top 2 corners unless Jalen Johnson is available. And even if he is, I don't know if he's going to be 100%. And then their top safety, Jaquan Brisker, is going to be out. And also their top linebackers. So I think Minnesota with their receivers against the injured secondary and their running game with Aaron Jones now against the TJ Edwards-less Bears linebacking core. I think Minnesota should be able to move the ball very well. And I think Minnesota is underrated at 4-5 because they've had so many injuries. It's insane. And now they're mostly healthy. So I think the Vikings are going to bounce back. We have Panthers to Falcons. So if I trusted the Panthers at all, I'd pick them here. So Atlanta has some offensive line injuries. They're already down two linemen from last week. Now the right tackle has been out all year, and then you have Matthew Bergeron's the other one, the right guard. He's a decent player, so he was missed a little bit last week. But the big injury here for the Falcons is that Chris Lindstrom may not play. He was DMP limited, and so even if he does play, he may not be 100%. He is an all-pro guard, like he's one of the best guards in the NFL, and if he's out, with the 2 guards being out, that's a cluster injury right there. And so Carolina with Derek Brown up front, they should be able to take advantage of that. So I think Carolina is more likely to cover than Atlanta here, especially with Atlanta coming off jet lag. They had a 10.5-hour flight back from Germany to Atlanta. And it's like, well, why didn't you just take the week off? They had an option for a bye. They didn't do it. Raheem Morris is such a buffoon. He should not be a head coach. He's a really good defensive coordinator, but as a head coach, he's been a failure in multiple instances. So I like Carolina here. The problem is I don't really want to bet on Bryce Young. I know the Falcons are sorry. I know the Panthers are 5-5, but it seems like a lot of those wins were just fluky, and I really don't trust Atlanta or Carolina at all. So this is just a game I'm avoiding right now. But I would take Carolina if I had to. It's another game I'm no interest in. Chargers to Jaguars. I think we're going to decide with the Chargers here. This reminds me of last week's Pittsburgh game where I think that the Jaguars should be able to take advantage of the Chargers missing tackles. Just their offensive line's in disarray right now. But I don't think the Jaguars have the offense to do anything to counter that. Like, yeah, they'll be able to limit the Chargers' offense a little bit, but they're not going to move the chains at all because Trevor Lawrence, he's been a big disappointment. The offensive line for Jacksonville has allowed the eighth most pressures in the NFL, and their top two receivers are not healthy. So, like, what do the Jaguars have to hang their hats on? I just don't know. So, plus, the Chargers had the fifth ranked defense in the NFL. So, yeah, I think the Chargers are going to win a low scoring game, but I think this game is probably going to be like 20-17. I think it's likely to be a push. So that's why I really don't have any interest in this game. Seahawks and Rams. This line is 3.5 in a couple places. Caesars and Hard Rock has it at 3.5. Fanatics as well, but don't have an account on Fanatics. They'll just ban your account if you win a couple of bets. But still, that's a surprise that this line has gone. It was 2.5 earlier in the week. It's gone to 3. Now it's gone through 3. That's very bullish for the Rams. Looks like sharp money coming in on the Rams, and I'm not surprised. Look, Seattle's been great this year. They're first in offense, first in defense, and EPA, but they have not beaten any one of my power rankings above 18th. That's crazy. They're 7 wins against every team 18th or worse in my power rankings. So could they win this game? Absolutely. But I need to see it first. I need to see proof that they could beat a great team. The best team they played this year was Tampa, and they lost that game at home. So I don't know if they beat the Rams. The Rams are so great. I think there's a chance the Rams win the Super Bowl. We have a future on them, so I'm excited about that. We have exactas with the Rams, with the Chiefs, Bills, and Ravens. So hopefully that comes to fruition. I think our wagers for the Rams to beat all 3 of those teams are 80-1, so that would be an awesome payout. So I'm really hoping for that to come through. So I like the Rams here, not for a lot though. I don't really want to fade Seattle given how great they've been, but this could be a misleading record for sure. Niners, the Cardinals, the line's up to 3.5. It was 2.5 earlier. I think it was actually 1.5 to start the week. It's up to 3.5. So very bullish indicator here for the 49ers. And it's because Brock Purdy's coming back, Ricky Pearsall's coming back, and Arizona's down. Some key players, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to be out. Their top corner, Will Johnson's out. One of their linebackers, Mac Wilson, is banged up. So it's not looking great for Arizona here, but I don't know if I'm convinced that Brock Purdy's healthy. I don't know if Ricky Pearsall's healthy. It's the first game back from long absences. The last time Purdy played, he tried to come back too early, and he was miserable against the Jaguars. I think we could see the same Purdy again, or we could see the Purdy of old. I don't know what to make of this. So this is a game I'm avoiding right now. So good luck if you have this figured out, which I have not. The Ravens at the Browns. The Ravens are -7.5. I like the Ravens here. Now, they could have some issues scoring for sure, but I don't know how the Browns score at all. They have Dylan Gabriel, who is the worst quarterback in the NFL right now, starting. I mean, maybe even a backup, he'd be worse than most of the guys not even playing. He's so bad. He has no arm strength. He doesn't see the field well at all. He's small. He just doesn't give the Browns any chance against a great defense. And if you look at the season-long stats, you might be like, wait, the Ravens aren't great. They've been awful. But they've had so many injuries that ever since the starters all came back in week 8, right after their bye, if you look at how they performed since their bye, they're 7th in defense, which makes sense because they have so much talent. So anytime you have a miserable quarterback like Dylan Gabriel going against the top 10 defense, if you fade that, I kept track of this for like the past 10 or so years. Like this sort of quarterback against a top 10 defense covers like 30 to 35% of the time. It's just very bleak. A great bet. Even if you think the Ravens could have trouble scoring, I would bet the Browns team total under. Which, like, you could lose if there's 2 kickoff returns, like we bet the Jets last week the under, and we had 2 kickoff returns, so that spoiled that. But unless there's like something crazy happens, I don't see how the Browns score more than 13 points, and really getting to 10 might be an issue. Chiefs and Broncos, this line is moving up a little bit. It was 3.5 across the board earlier. Now it's 4, some 4.5s here, although FanDuel still is 3.5. I like the Chiefs. Not only do you have Patrick Mahomes, another elite quarterback, coming off a loss. He's 14-9 against the spread, by the way, coming off a loss. You have Andy Reid coming off a bye, which is 19-12, which really is pretty impressive because the sports books have inflated his odds because they know how great he is off a bye, and yet he still covers at a decent rate. Chiefs are better offensively than they were last year, despite the record disparity. You have the 2 receivers are healthy. Their left tackle is going to be back this week. and so they just block better overall, which is going to be key here against Denver. And Denver is not going to have Patrick Surtain, which is a huge deal. It wasn't a big deal against the Raiders because the Raiders can't throw downfield, but the Chiefs can, and I think that's going to hurt the Broncos here. So I like the Chiefs coming off a bye and a loss. Seems like a good spot for them. Sunday Night Football, Lions at Eagles. I like the Eagles at -2.5. Jared Goff, just really a different quarterback when he faces pressure, and Eagles bring a lot of pressure. They're not in the top 3 or 5 or whatever in pressure rate this year, but they added some talent to potentially be there in a few weeks. Like Jalen Phillips, they traded for him. They have Nolan Smith coming back from injury. They have Brandon Graham coming off retirement. And Jalen Carter missed a couple games earlier. Now he's healthy and not suspended. So the Eagles can bring a ton of pressure, and Jared Goff's completion percentage drops 30 percentage points when he's under pressure. Now, obviously, every quarterback has those struggles. But if you look at Jalen Hurts, his completion percentage drops 17% when he's under pressure. It's not that bad. 30% is a big deal. Plus, Jared Goff's YPA yards per attempt drops like more than 2 yards per play, which is pretty staggering too. Jalen Hurts I think is like 1.6 or 1.7. So Hurts much better under pressure. Goff not as well. And I think both these teams can bring pressure, but the Eagles offensive line is getting healthier now. Lane Johnson's going to play. Cam Jurgens going to be back. And the Lions have offensive line injury issues. Like they lost their guard a couple weeks ago, and the tackles, I don't know if they're completely healthy. So the Eagles should be able to take advantage of that and win this game. And then you have Cowboys Raiders, which I said before is an extremely difficult handicap for 2 reasons. One, we don't know how well or how integrated the new Dallas additions on defense are going to be that they got from the trade deadline. Quinton Williams and Logan Wilson. Are they going to play very well right away for Dallas? I don't know. Maybe. And how well do they do for Dallas in raising their ranking? Because Dallas is 30th in defense. Do they get it to 21st, 22nd? If so, I mean, that's a big deal because Dallas can score. But if they get it to like 25th, 26th, it's not really going to move the needle too much. So we'll see. I think, I don't know what to make of Dallas yet for their defense. But, I mean, the big issue here is the Marshawn Nealon tragedy that happened where he took his life. So I don't know. I don't know how Dallas is going to respond to that. He was an effective player for them. He scored a touchdown in the previous game. The teams have done well coming off player death before. Sean Taylor, when he died, the Redskins had a great performance. But then if you look at Corey Stringer, the lineman who passed away from Minnesota, the Vikings lost 24-13 to a horrible Carolina team right after that happened. So, and then Chris Henry, when he died, the Bengals lost. So I don't know. I don't know. It's a huge question mark, and I can't bet it. So nothing but live bets here on player props or team totals. So So guys, thank you for watching this. Hope you win all of your bets. That'd be great to have another outstanding week. We had an awesome week 10. Hopefully week 11 is just as good or better. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit walterfootball.com for tons of content. That's all free. And I will be back after the Sunday games with my instant reaction. So I will talk to you in that video.